everybody, welcome back to another YouTube video. I guess I'm actually back to making some content pretty soon now. Hopefully. But in today's video, I asked you guys on my Discord if you would like a tutorial on how to clean your fursuit heads. And a lot of you actually said yes. So in today's video, I'm going to show you my method about how I clean my fursuit heads. Now, before we start, one thing that you should always do before following a cleaning tutorial on YouTube is if you have it commissioned it from another maker, always ask your maker about your cleaning method first, as they know how to clean their fursuit head specifically. If you don't have a maker, you made it yourself, that sort of thing, then maybe this tutorial will be helpful. This tutorial does not involve soaking, so you shouldn't worry too much about that. And since I just cleaned Forest, I will be using Old Forest. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so welcome to my bathroom. So what you will need for this is, of course, you will need the head you want to wash. It's easier if you put the head on a mannequin to do this. So I have Forest on my mannequin. I named Steve after Sky High Studio Steve-O. Anyways, you will need a small container. You will need this dish soap. And one thing about dish soap though is if you have an airbrushed head, do not use grease removal. And if you put too much of this in, it will make your fursuit greasy, so only put a tiny bit in. And you will also need a small hand towel, which this one's way too big, but I'll make it work. So with all that going, I'll show you how. So now what you want to do is you want to fill this container with some water. It can either be cold or warm. I technically prefer it to be cold, but either one works. If you go with warm, make sure to not make it too hot. Now once you have your container, this one I like to fill about half full. You want to set it down, and yes, I got a new towel. And come on, turn. Then you want to take your dish soap and put a tiny bit of it in. Just a tiny bit, you do not want to add too much. Now to mix this around, I like to use a jumbo-sized popsicle stick. And just take this to sort of stir around the water, pick some of the soap up that's like stuck to the bottom, and mix it in. And you'll know that you have a good amount when there's still bubbles in it, but there aren't a ton of them. Like this here is the amount of bubbles you want in it. Now, I use this dish soap that's yellow, but I know I like this stuff because even when it's colored, it doesn't stain. Okay, now on to the next part. So the next part is the scrubbing. I like to move this back into the sink. Let's go on Unfail Army. I like to move that back into the sink. And then I take my paper towel and sort of make it into a ball that I can hold like this. You dip it into your water, get it pretty wet, squeeze some of it out. And then you take your fursuit and you sort of brush it on. And when you brush it, you sort of want to like scrub in between the fibers, but not too hard that it'll make your fur wrinkly. And again, sorry for another thing. Another thing you will want is some sort of fursuit brush. I like to use this pet brush that I just got at the dollar store. It's cheap and it works nice. And every once in a while, you want to like brush out the fur. Because if this dries, when it's not in the right direction, it's going to stay that way. Then you brush it out every once in a while. And get the rag wet again, and when your rag dries out, dip it in, squeeze it out, and continue. So for the long fur, it's a little more tricky. What I like to do is I like to brush it. I like to brush it this way. I'm gonna adjust my camera. What I like to do is I like to brush it in the fur direction, like this. and then brush it backwards, and then brush it the other way again. And another thing that you will also want to do, which I'm not doing on Forest, is you want to take paper towel or toilet paper and stuff it in the eye blanks. If you have two-dimensional eyes, cover the eyes with tape. This will prevent the eyes from getting damaged if they're not waterproof. Unfortunately, Forest's eyes aren't really deep enough for me to shove anything in there, so I leave them open and be extra careful.
Invincible.
And once your fursuit is thoroughly scrubbed, I like to take the water and pour it down the drain. Since you no longer need this, just set the rag to the side, rinse out the container, that sort of thing. And this is optional, but I like to do it to have it dry faster. I take my fursuit head, I like to put it over here. I guess I'll move the camera. There we go. And I take this old ass blow dryer, and if you're using this, you have to make sure the settings are on low and the temperature is only on warm, because if you have it too hot, it can damage your fur.
stars, got it together. Your mind can't sleep when you let it start.
And once you've partially dried your suit with the hair dryer, again, that part's completely optional. You need to put this in a sunny/warm spot for it to dry. Now expect for drying, based on how big your fursuit is, to take anywhere from like an hour to 5 hours. For Forest to dry, the new one, it took about like 3 hours for it to completely dry, and I put it in front of a window so that it was relatively sunny and relatively warm, although it's pretty hard to get that in the winter in Oregon. So once you have your fursuit thoroughly washed, partially dry if you wanted to, you just leave it sit. Now, as you can see, after about, I don't know, 3.5 hours for me, I guess, Forest is dry. So as you can see, the fur is still in great condition. It's nice and light and fluffy now. And the texture is just the same as it was before I put the soap in. So I hope you guys found this cleaning tutorial helpful, and let me know how it goes for you if you try this. So Forest is all nice and dry and clean and ready for more wears. Thanks for watching. Bye!